health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health TV and radio show. I'm your host, Sarah Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of three. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you're notified every week with my new podcast Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you haven't already, join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. There's no downside. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health. And you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of the health. The protocols and supplements I discuss are all found at sarahbantahealth.com. Today we are talking about natural PMS pain relief. And I know a lot of you women out there are going, God, my period used to not be a big deal, and now it is. They're longer, they're heavier, they're more painful, the PMS is worse, the water retention is worse, the bloating, the cravings. Why is it so much worse? And personally, I always know God gives me a problem so that I can come up with a solution to then help all of you. And what I found in my own household is I've got two daughters, teenagers, and very different profiles, very different periods and menstrual cycle symptoms. One was having horrific pain. So the first day of her cycle, vomiting, couldn't go to school. The pain between a 1 and a 10 was a 12. Just sweating, wanted me to hit her so she'd pass out. Literally was in the worst pain ever. And it was like, as a mom, it was the worst thing you could ever imagine seeing your child go through. And my other daughter, back pain that gets really bad, water retention, doesn't feel good, just gotten worse, right, over the last couple of years. So there's a reason, and we're going to get to it. But we're going to get into what is PMS and the common symptoms and then the solutions. So PMS, Premenstrual Syndrome, is a condition that affects many women the days leading up to their menstrual cycle. It's characterized by a variety of physical and emotional symptoms that can be uncomfortable to the point where they disrupt your life, where you can't go to work, or you can't go to school, or you can't work out. And now, with the infiltration of the spike protein over the last couple of years, PMS symptoms seem to be worsened amongst many of the women. And this is known to cause a disruption in the liver that then affects follicular development and ovulation. So it's also affecting fertility. It also makes water retention worse, inflammation worse, and this is exacerbating PMS symptoms beyond what they were before. While the exact causes of PMS are not fully understood, several factors have been identified as possibly contributing to this condition and then also making it worse. So number one, mood swings. People are seeing mood swings, and you men in the house, I'm sure you can note that your women are definitely getting moody around their PMS. And when I feel it come on, I say, hey, I'm hormonal. Don't take me personally. And then the men in my household just say, hey, I'm staying away. And then we just kind of know to stay away from each other. And that's fine. That keeps the peace in the house, right? A lot of women do experience mood swings during PMS, ranging from irritability and anxiety to depression and low mood. So this is why you want to keep track of your cycle so you know that it's coming. A lot of women get bloated. PMS can cause water retention and bloat, leading to discomfort and swelling in the abdominal area, the hands and the feet. This is what hits me. It takes very little for me to have edema because that's one of my symptoms that just shows up when ever something's around, whether it's a viral exposure or PMS or food poisoning, I get edema. So this bloating is something that I'm very sensitive to. Many women get breast tenderness around during their PMS symptoms or breast swelling. You might see fatigue or a lack of energy, making it difficult to carry out daily activities. And my one daughter was asking me, she said, well, gosh, for my sport, this kind of means that all the girls on our team might peak or do their best during different times of the month, where the guys' team are very straight and it's straightforward, no blips, no ups and downs. I said, yep, you're exactly right. That's why having a guy as your coach might not be the best thing, because they don't understand this, or maybe they need to be listening to this podcast. Headaches. Some women experience headaches or migraines during PMS, and that's because of the ups and downs of the hormones. Cramps, the cramps in the lower abdominal area, which may be accompanied by that back pain. It's the swelling of the ovaries and all of the female hormones that's putting pressure on the kidneys in the back, and then that's causing some back pain. You might have food cravings. Certain foods, particularly those that are high in sugar or salt, you're looking for that energy to get from that sugar and salt, and that's not really where you're wanting to get it. You might experience some insomnia, difficult sleeping, and then fatigue during the day. Acne. A lot of women experience acne and other skin changes during PMS. I know I do. I'm 47. I still can get breakouts from hormonal changes. So when you get older and you're still getting hormonal breakouts and wrinkles, that's not real fair, but that's something that some of us have to go through, but there's ways to mitigate it, and we'll get into those. Constipation. Because of the swelling and the inflammation in the ovaries, there's pressure put on the intestines that literally are blocking the intestines and not letting the poop get through. So a lot of constipation can happen. And then maybe, I know for me, on the day of the period, it's almost like the floodgates open, right? So there's this big backup leading up to it, and then there's a release. Now, especially if your period and your menstrual cycle are aligned with the new moon and the full moon, which is the way it's supposed to be, then you have that those symptoms even enhanced or heightened, because during the full moon and the new moon, you might retain more water. You might have constipation away from the hormonal changes. So it's almost like a double whammy. So let's look at some of the causes of PMS. And estrogen dominance is a major cause of PMS. Estrogen dominance also affects men. That's what's causing the man boobs and the lack of muscle building and the extra body fat that you can't do anything about. You guys, weight gain is not about calories in, calories out. It's about hormones. There's a lot more that goes into it, but really look at the hormones. When you get the hormones going in the right direction, a lot of the symptoms and the weight gain go away. So a major cause is this estrogen dominance, and this has been worsened by the spike protein over the last 3 years. I just flew on an airplane from Florida to California last night. My body swelled up, probably retaining about 5 to 10 pounds of water. My stomach looked bloated, and this is not about hormones right now, but this is obviously on an airplane around people that have the spike protein in their bodies. Everybody does. Maybe a couple people that have the virus that they don't even know. Maybe there's just the regular cold or flu virus on the plane too. What happens when you're exposed to that? It triggers this cascade of things happening in your body. Your immune system says, oh, I'm on high alert now. Slows down the metabolism, increases the warning signals throughout the body, increases reverse T3, which is slowing down your metabolism, telling your body you're in fight or flight, retaining the water because of this spike protein and what it's doing to the ACE2 enzyme in the liver. And that's responsible for water retention and swelling. I also am suffering from a little bit of a headache today, probably due to that as well. And so you've got all of these things that we didn't have 3 years ago due to the spike protein and this infiltration into all of our bodies. And everyone, I don't care who you are, you have been exposed. And if you're going to the market, if you're just going out in town, there's people out there carrying it around, and your body then recognizes it. The red sirens go up, and it can have some of these symptoms. So just something to look to and think to yourself. I want to know. Let me know in the comments below. Have your symptoms of PMS gotten worse over the last 3 years? Have you been trying to get pregnant and you can't get pregnant? Are these symptoms, does this sound like you? So as it relates to PMS, this estrogen dominance is usually due to changes in estrogen detoxification and excretion that leads to abnormal hormonal balance and inflammation. Estrogen dominance is not only exposure to increased amounts of estrogen, but also a disruption of estrogen detox through the liver, the gut, the microbiome, the bile, and the kidneys. So if it's also affecting your kidneys, and your kidneys are backed up, they're going to retain water, right? That's also going to put more pressure on your back, and then that might exacerbate the back pain. But this is also referred to as phase 1, 2, and 3 detox. So it's imperative to be focusing on the liver and the microbiome for clearing estrogens and reversing the damage done by the spike protein. Unhealthy bile, and that's held in your gallbladder. Excess cholesterol from the liver, which with the spike protein, there's more cholesterol being made in the liver, the bad cholesterol, these deposits making more gallstones away from what your diet has been doing. So if you haven't even changed your diet, you are probably getting more gallstones and liver stones from that excess cholesterol. And that's why it's so important to be doing the liver flushes and cleansing the liver with the accelerated keto on a daily basis to take care of this. And then it's also causing an unbalanced microbiome in the gut, which is going to worsen the PMS symptoms. So what is increasing estrogen dominance and worsening the PMS symptoms? Not enough exercise. We know exercise is good for our mood, our sleep, our body, our physique, right? But it's also known that physical exercise moves the blood, stimulates the bowel movements, and improves circulation. And then as a result, PMS symptoms seem to lessen. So if you're an athlete, a lot of people who are athletes actually suffer from less symptoms than their counterparts that are more sedentary. Next is a poor diet and processed foods. I'm getting deep into the processed foods thing, and all I can tell you is they are bad news on so many levels. But as far as it goes with PMS, the processed foods increase inflammation throughout the body, including the gonadal organs, and this chain reaction leads to bloat, cramps, lethargy, inflammation of the organs, and in the lower abdominal area. Now, as a side note, what else are the processed foods doing? They're killing the signaling reaction and triggering that hormone called CCK that tells your brain, I'm done eating. I've had enough food. So when you're having PMS symptoms, then guess what happens? You reach for the Ben & Jerry's and the Pringles because you need that salt sugar fix. And it's killing those receptor sites to trigger the CCK. And you're not getting the nutrients, the amino acids and the omega-3 fatty acids from processed foods that tell the brain, I've had enough to eat. I want to stop eating. So then you eat more, giving into more of the cravings, which then makes your bloat and inflammation and constipation and gut issues and recycling of the estrogen all worse. So it's this domino effect that just gets worse and worse and worse. So it is more important than ever to be very careful about your diet. In my household, I've talked to my daughters about it. If you don't do your part, your mom's not going to be feeling sorry for you when you're in pain and your cycle's here. So you better be eating anti-inflammatory foods, staying away from the processed foods, staying on the organic, right vegetables for their diet, anti-inflammatory wild animal protein and wild fish, things that agree with their systems, to help make it smoother. So I'm not going to pay for their supplements. I'm not going to give them sympathy if they're not doing their part. And so if you're listening and you're a mom saying, yeah, Sarah, this is great, but I've got daughters, they're out of my control. They go to 7-Eleven with their friends. They go out to dinner. You know what? You're in charge of their cell phone, and you're in charge of what you feed them at home and what you provide at home. So it's real easy. You don't do your part, I won't do my part. So just a little parenting tip there. It works like magic. And that phone of theirs is key. So there you go. So you got to eliminate the processed foods and clean up the diet. Hypothyroidism can make PMS symptoms worse. The thyroid is the master endocrine gland, and it affects the gonadal system, all of your hormone, all of your ovaries, and the testes, of course, in men. When the thyroid is sluggish, there's a stagnation of energy throughout the body. It's like that energy is not moving, causing constipation and overall stagnation in the organs. And this is going to worsen PMS symptoms. Accelerated thyroid, which we're going to get into in a minute. I've had a lot of girls tell me, oh my gosh, this accelerated thyroid, my PMS symptoms are gone just from that. And it's because their hypothyroidism was causing their PMS symptoms to be worse. Some other disorders like certain, such as endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is something that I suffered from, can also contribute to PMS. These conditions can disrupt hormonal balance in the body, leading to those PMS symptoms. Endometriosis as well, which is a cause, or the root cause is the estrogen dominance. So if you have endometriosis, make sure you're looking into my article and my podcast on estrogen dominance, because that is key. To use the supplements and the diet to go after that. That will help alleviate endometriosis. And that's been in my family as well. So I've got one daughter that is more prone to the PCOS genetically, and another daughter that is more prone to endometriosis. And I've got family members with both. And I was myself was one that was more leaning toward PCOS. So like I said, God gives me all these problems so I can find the answers to help you overcome them. And what we're going to be talking about helps both. Okay, so hormonal changes. The primary cause of PMS symptoms is believed to be the fluctuations of your hormones that occur during your cycle. And in the days leading up to menstruation, levels of estrogen and progesterone fluctuate. This can lead to physical and emotional changes. And then, for example, low levels of serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates mood, can contribute to the mood swings and irritability that many people or many women experience. So remember, we want to address the mood and the serotonin. We're going to address the estrogen dominance. We're going to address the hypothyroidism. So all of these things we're going to address in a minute. Spike protein exposure, just like I said, this can cause an abnormal conversion of the ACE2 enzyme in the liver. And I went into that in a couple podcasts and articles already. This leads to excess water retention, inflammation, weight gain that is unexplained, insulin dysregulation, where your body overshoots its insulin. So what is insulin? Insulin is a fat storing hormone. That's its job. We all need insulin. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a survival hormone. It teaches the body to store fat in times of scarcity, right? So we want that. But when it overshoots and does too much, then what happens? You eat an apple 2020 versus 2023, same person, you might have more insulin released in 2023, which is going to cause your body to have the propensity to store more fat. Same apple, same person, same body, and it's just because of this spike protein exposure and then this ACE2 enzyme inhibitor. So we are in a position we are salmon swimming upstream. And yes, you have to work harder to do the right things and to feel your best. Genetics. Research does suggest that genetics play a major role in developing PMS. So if your mom had really bad symptoms, you might have bad symptoms. This is indicating that there is a genetic component, but I'm of the belief that we can overcome any of that, right? Also, inflammation and oxidative stress. So inflammation and oxidative stress of any sort slows down the phase 3 estrogen detox. As a result, that excess estrogen increases, which will worsen the PMS symptoms. We need to be lowering the inflammation in our bodies, whether it's stress from the diet, whatever is causing that inflammation, because that's just going to worsen everything. Toxicity from the environment, the diet, and medications. The overabundance of toxicity in our lives now is so much worse than it was just a couple of years ago, and it will back up the liver, backing up phase 1, 2, and 3 estrogen detox pathways. This is why I'm doing liver flushes almost every month, and they're not difficult, you guys. I've made it so much easier. It's like a no-brainer. I'll be doing one this week, and it just feels so good because it cleans out the liver, and the liver says, thank you, I can do my job now. Examples of these toxins are the heavy metals, radiation, fluoride, bromide, chlorine, GMOs in the food, and prescription drugs. And I went into last week in the hot topic of can you overdose on iodine, on why it's so important to actually high dose with the acceleridine iodine to displace the radiation, the fluoride, bromide, and chlorine that are in our foods and our environment. And ironically, what's another cause of PMS symptoms being worsened? Iodine deficiency. Iodine helps decrease estrogen in the receptor cells, which helps reverse fibroids, endometriosis, PCOS, and PMS symptoms. It helps with apoptosis, which is the destruction of diseased and cancer cells. So without sufficient iodine, the disease cells aren't destroyed, causing inflammation throughout the body, worsening the PMS symptoms. And that spike protein is actually causing an issue with this apoptosis in the body, making it so when a cell is supposed to die, if it's diseased, it isn't. And then it's causing inflammation and wreaking havoc. So that's why the iodine is so important to help with taking over what the damage has been done to the DNA. And we need to actually overdose, or not overdose, but high dose on the acceleridine iodine. And not all iodines are the same. So make sure you listen to that Hot Topic podcast on can you overdose on iodine to listen to why it's important to be doing the acceleridine. Using GMO cotton from tampons. 94% of cotton in the US is GMO. And the toxicity inserted inside the body in such a precious location will cause inflammation and infection in the area, where inflammation will cause cramps to worsen. You literally are putting it in, causing inflammation locally in the area that is going to cause the symptoms and the inflammation to worsen. I recommend using pads, not using tampons unless you have to, if you're going swimming or whatever, what have you. But then if you do, make sure they're organic and they're from a good source. Consumption of grain-fed beef, dairy, chicken. These are fed with grains with GMO, glyphosate, and soy. By consuming the beef and the dairy from these cows, there's going to be a disruption in the hormonal balance as well. The dairy is meant to grow and fatten cows. So what do you think it's going to do to you? It has many growth hormones, meaning it will grow the endometrial tissue. And I'm laughing as I'm talking about this because my daughter was having a conversation with her teammate saying that she should be drinking more milk because that will help her grow, right? That's what we talked about when we were younger, that our kids needed milk to grow. Well, how do you want them to grow? You want them to grow out or up? They need nutrients. They don't need cow's milk that are meant to fatten cows. Exposure to pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. And these poisons mimic estrogen, lead to estrogen dominance, increased toxicity and inflammation, backing up the liver, and. So stay away from these as much as you can. Stick to the organic foods and really try to be careful with all of these pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. The great news is there's a lot of natural cleaners, house products that actually work now, whereas 10 years ago when you tried to stay away from the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, the alternatives, they didn't work. Now they work. Consumption of soy. Soy is a vegan good protein, right? No. Consumption of soy, that is estrogenic. All soy is GMO and mimics estrogen in the body, leading to estrogen dominance and aggravating your PMS symptoms. So stay away from soy as much as you can. Consumption of the GMO foods and all grains. So not just the beef and the cows that eat these grains and these GMOs, but they are likely to be inflammatory, causing microbiome imbalances, causing leaky gut, and inhibiting phase 2 estrogen detox. And these foods are the grains, the healthy ones, right? The oats, the hemp, the flax, the quinoa, all of these vegan, healthy protein sources are actually wreaking havoc on your body, causing inflammation. Mental health. Some psychological factors such as anxiety, depression, and other mental health conditions may also contribute to your PMS symptoms. Women with depression may experience more PMS symptoms than those without, but also most people on antidepressants and anti-anxiety actually have low thyroid. So once you fix the thyroid, some of these symptoms go away, and then your PMS symptoms might go away. So there's a connection there. Sugar. Most sugar is beet sugar, and it's usually GMO, and that sugar itself is inflammatory and may exacerbate the inflammation markers in the body, worsening your symptoms. And of course, stress makes everything worse, including PMS symptoms. It creates oxidation and inflammation, disrupting that phase 1, 2, and 3 detox pathways, in addition to causing leaky gut and microbiome imbalances. All of these factors are going to magnify those PMS symptoms. Phase 3 compromised transporters. What does that mean? Phase 3 transporters move many things inside and outside the cell. As we age, these cell walls become rigid, and we talk about that as the phase angle, where the toxins have a harder time getting out of the cells and the nutrients have a harder time getting in. Those toxins include medications, chemicals, hormones, including estrogen. Once they're out of the cell, they move into the kidneys, urine, and the bile, and the intestines. And what slows down these transporters are inflammation, oxidative stress, toxic overload, and medications, and they'll all worsen PMS symptoms. Your leaky gut and compromised estrobolome. Estrobolome is the estrogen detoxifying microbiome. So in the gut, its job is to help excrete and circulate estrogens out of the body. It can be affected by antibiotics, drugs, and your diet. And when the estrobolome is compromised, estrogen that is meant to pass through the gut and out with the feces escapes and gets then reabsorbed in the body. Like all toxins, if you're constipated, all those toxins are getting reabsorbed. So this is just one more example of that. And then the PMS symptoms are going to become worse. Okay, so with all of that being said, here I am. I'm a mom staring at my daughter on the floor, yelling at me to hit her over the head so she'll pass out because she can't take the pain anymore. My other daughter having horrible back pain. Oh, and by the way, Advil doesn't touch her symptoms. So I was helpless and I had to really get deep on how am I going to help my daughter? How am I then going to help all of you? 2 essential supplements to alleviate PMS naturally, and these were non-negotiables in our household. If my kids don't, or my girls don't take them, I don't have any sympathy for them and any pain that they have. Number 1, you guessed it, accelerating iodine. It's great for everything, but when we're talking about just PMS and hormones, iodine regulates estrogen production and properly cleanses the blood for liver to do its job detoxing the excess estrogen that leads to PMS symptoms, and also reduces inflammation throughout the body, fights oxidative stress. It triggers that apoptosis, the death of weak and unhealthy cells. This cleans up the body and helps promote balanced hormones. Accelerating is the only iodine that is 100% bioavailable, radiation-free, enhanced with scalar frequencies to have that advanced efficacy. It is the only iodine that you can't overdose on. You know, most people overdose on iodine by taking a toxic source or a source that has another ingredient in it that the body can't break down, and then that can become toxic. But that iodine is going to help with the inflammation, managing your estrogen, managing your hormones, helping feed your thyroid. So if part of the issue is hypothyroidism, it's going to increase the metabolism and your thyroid health, which is also going to help with PMS symptoms. Then what else you can do besides taking it orally is use the accelerated scalar castor oil. And then you make a castor oil pack with the acceleradine. And what you'll do is you'll take a wool cloth, you don't want cotton, and you soak it with the castor oil and the iodine. When you ask me how much, I just put a whole big squeezer in there to make it nice and brown on my tummy. And then I put the castor oil pack over it, and it reduces the inflammation and the swelling, but it really drives in that iodine right to the source. So you get this relief. So it's going to help with the inflammation and the pain. Now that combination, acceleradine and the accelerated scalar castor oil, you can also use on your face to help with the hormonal acne. It helps with wrinkles. It helps with skin tone. It's antibacterial, antiviral. It's going after everything. I do it all the time at night before bed, and then I also do it before I go into my sauna, and the sauna and the heat even drives it into the skin even more. You can do it over your whole body, and just make sure you're not getting anything messy. So you're using the combination, and you put it over the acceleradine, the castor oil, you put it over your lower abdominal area, and you do it to your liking, however dark or light you want to do it. Now, in addition to those two supplements that are a must, you can use the accelerated keto. And why is this important? It not only suppresses your appetite for those inflammatory sugars and carbs, but it supports easy intermittent fasting, which further reduces inflammation throughout the body, including the female organs that cause PMS symptoms like bloat and cramps. It also encourages hormonal balance, stable blood sugar, and elevated mood. The GABA goes up, the serotonin goes up, your brain calms down, you feel great. Then you're craving the healthy foods like the wild animal protein, the vegetables that we talk about. You also can use the accelerated ancient salt. This is really important in combination with the acceleradine because it plumps up the volume of the blood inside and outside the cells to get the toxins out and let the nutrients in. It also helps with nausea that a lot of women get when they're suffering from PMS. And this encourages optimal estrogen detoxification, hormonal balance. It helps balance blood sugar, helps cleanse the liver, and it also helps DNA repair. It also helps improve bile production and fat metabolism. Next, it's important to be taking magnesium. We need magnesium more than ever. It participates in more than 600 different biochemical reactions in the body, and more than 80% of people are deficient. Magnesium helps relax the muscles related to the cramps, alleviate stress associated with PMS, increases your GABA to calm the brain down. And I love the magnesium breakthrough. It has over all 7 types of magnesium that are needed for the body. GABA. GABA not only helps with your neurotransmitters, but it's been shown to help with weight loss, blood sugar, liver protection, help with viral infection, sleep, and hormonal balance. We're seeing a big impact of just taking GABA with these PMS symptoms. So it might help with the PMS symptoms, including the painful periods, the weight gain, endometriosis, and anxiety. And it also helps relax the muscles. So the contractions associated with the cramps might go away. Now, here's the key that came to me in the last couple months helping my girls, and I take it as well. Unlocking formula, and you can find it at Accelerated Health Products. This helps with menstrual pain associated with the inflammation, the blood stasis, the one that is stagnant, that stagnant energy in the lower abdominal area. It's unlocking it and helping with the flow of the blood. So it helps clear excess fluid retention associated with PMS. It is used for endometriosis, painful ovarian cysts, uterine fibroids, chronic PID, which is pelvic inflammatory disease, and chronic abnormal vaginal discharge. I take it daily. I've noticed a difference in my bloating. My daughter's pain is gone, you guys. It went from a 12 to the second month, she got her down to like a 5 or an 8. And then by the second month, or the third time she was taking it, she was going to school, going to rowing practice, and no need for Advil, no need for anything. It was amazing. Heavenly water. This is another Chinese herbal remedy that could help you, depending on your constitution, with PMS symptoms, irregular menstruation, breast tenderness. And by the way, the iodine, the acceleradine, helps with breast tenderness. A lot of women are actually rubbing it on their breasts with the castor oil. That helps with the pain, but also just taking it orally, the breast tenderness has gone away. But heavenly water would be something to add if you still need a little help. And that also helps with abdominal bloating, constipation, dysmenorrhea, and spotting. It also might help with headaches, sweet cravings, and acne associated with PMS. Women's Balance, another Chinese herbal remedy, helps treat PMS issues, including the abdominal bloating, breast swelling, menstrual irregularity, cramps, and menopausal distress. can also help with mild depression, liver-associated headaches, harmonizing the liver and the spleen, and strengthening your spleen's energy or chi. Now you're listening to this going, women's balance, heavenly water, which one do I do? Look them up on the website and see which sits better with you and your symptoms. Normally people do not need both. Then another formula to look at is channel flow. And this is a natural formula that has been shown to be as equally effective at pain relief as ibuprofen and aspirin without the negative side effects. It kind of blunts that pain, but it also helps with the flow and the circulation and relaxes the muscles, relieves abdominal and that cramping pain. And it might help with headaches, supports normal menstruation and fertility. Accelerated thyroid. This is a must for everybody. There are very few humans on earth that won't benefit from accelerated thyroid. But because the thyroid's the master endocrine gland, affects all of your female hormones, optimizing thyroid function with the accelerated thyroid may improve the hormonal balance, minimize PMS symptoms, including the moodiness, bloat, constipation, and water retention, helps improve with that if you're having any unexplained weight gain as well over the last couple of years. But accelerated thyroid really has been changing people's lives. I believe that 9 out of 10 of you are suffering from hypothyroidism because of the last 3 years and what's been going on. So that is something that I would definitely recommend. Ceramide. This is something that I've been recommending because of the spike protein. It is a serapeptase supplement. It's a natural occurring proteolytic enzyme that's known for its anti-inflammatory effects. I think of it as the vacuum cleaner to clean up the debris from the spike protein. It helps with PMS symptoms by reducing the inflammation that contributes to cramps, constipation, edema, headaches, and breast enlargement. And it can help clean up that debris I was talking about. It's also known to help treat chronic lung, ears, notes, and throat disorders. Of course, the liver flush kit. Why? We need to be doing liver flush 3 to 4 times a year, you guys. I'd like you to be doing it more, but at the very least, because the liver is needed for producing the estrogen binding protein, which helps bind up the toxic estrogens that may worsen PMS symptoms. And the liver is also where the ACE2 enzyme conversion occurs. And this is being disrupted by the spike protein. So as a result, there's worsening inflammation, oxidative stress, water retention, insulin dysregulation, fibroids, hormonal imbalance, and exaggerated stress hormone release. So when the liver's backed up, it's unable to detox these excess estrogens, metabolize your fats that you're eating, utilize glucose, break down the proteins you're eating, convert thyroid hormones into the active thyroid hormones. And all of these things happen in the liver. So really important to be cleansing your liver. So what can you do for lifestyle changes? Focus on eating that wild animal protein and wild fish. They have the anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids that have been proven to help with PMS symptoms, including inflammation and cramps. And then those amino acids in the wild animal protein are the only nutrient that trigger that hormone CCK to suppress appetite and stop the sugar cravings associated with PMS. Follow my accelerated food guide. This will help eliminate dietary inflammation that exacerbates the inflammation. So the foods like the sulfur vegetables, the cruciferous vegetables, the onions, garlic, egg yolks, those might be making your symptoms worse. The oxalates, those might be making your symptoms worse. Mold, lectins, those might be triggering you. So this is something that you need to test out. I recommend you eliminate all of them and then add them back in one at a time to see what affects you. Now, the biocharger. Before I had the supplements and my daughter was in that pain of 12, I put her in front of the biocharger. I threw her on the floor and I said, just lay here. I'm doing some programs on you. And within 1 hour, her pain went from a 12 to a 5. So it was manageable. This little girl, all of 115 pounds, tried to take 3 Advil without me knowing, but they didn't even touch the pain. And the biocharger took it from a 12 to a 5 within an hour. It was miraculous, and I don't know what I would have done without it. It has specific programs to help balance hormones, alleviate PMS, but you can use it for viral symptoms. I used it today to do a viral treatment, knowing that I was probably exposed to something on the plane, and just to help purify and help my body recover energy-wise in general. I love the machine. If you are interested in it at all, contact me through my website, sarabantahealth.com. I'll connect you to get a discount on the machine and to set you up. The Energy Enhancer Patch, this one helps with nausea, improves digestion, increases circulation and blood flow in the lower abdominal area. This will help with your PMS symptoms, also helps with excess water retention, and it burns an extra 300 calories a day. What an awesome little bonus, right? Increases fat oxidation in the mitochondria as well. The X39 stem cell patch helps trigger your own body to reset over 4,000 genes in the body. And it works off of GHK copper peptide. This is why it's so important to be using the accelerated copper, because it helps activate all of the patches. But if you missed my my interview with Morley Robbins on why copper helps with fat loss, especially over the last 3 years, it is a must watch. Copper is needed for fat loss. It's needed for inflammation. It is the hidden hero. It is the one that unlocks the key, or is the key that unlocks the door to let the iron get to where it needs to go throughout the body. But so many other enzymatic reactions are based off of copper. It is a must in my household, or I don't give back to whoever doesn't take it, right? So there's some absolutes in my house that you have to be doing, and the accelerated copper is one of them. And then as a bonus, it helps support the stem cell activation patches. The Alleviate patch not only helps with the skin and your acne from PMS, but it helps with balancing hormones, reducing inflammation, reducing oxidative stress, improving organ function, helping with sleep, so many things. The Eon patch helps reduce inflammation, calm the nervous system, and that will help with your PMS symptoms. And then exercise. My daughter even told me that when her symptoms were bad, going to practice actually helped, because exercise is known to help with PMS symptoms. It's improving circulation, blood flow, and mitochondrial health. So there you go, guys. Diet, supplements, and protocols of lifestyle, all to help alleviate these symptoms. These recommendations will help with endometriosis, PCOS, fertility, a lot of things. So definitely share this podcast. What did you learn today? Do you have bad PMS symptoms, and did they get worse over the last 3 years? I want to know, and let me know if any of these protocols or supplements are helping you and you've experienced it. Thanks for joining me today. If I can help you, contact me through the website, sarabantahealth.com. Leave a comment below if you are struggling with any of these issues. I want to learn from you just as much as you are learning from me. Join the free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. I teach you on a daily basis. It's free, and you will be a part of that like-minded group to support you on your journey, in addition to truly taking control of your health. The protocols and supplements I discuss are all found at sarahbantahealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and radio show. And if you like what you hear today, please share with a friend, hit the subscribe button, and help my channel grow. I really would appreciate it. And join me every Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific and Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. Use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here, and have a great week.